If the fourth member isn't the chair or the vice chair, I'll run the meeting because I've done it before.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. The treasurer's report, $3,000. There are no minutes, and I don't see anyone from the sheriff's office. So we will go into our presentation from Chief Gage. If you're ready, Chief Gage.
I have a PowerPoint to share. I was just going to give everyone an overview and update on what's going on in the fire district. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lon Gage. I'm the Assistant Fire Chief with Contra Costa County Fire. I used to be the battalion chief in El Sobrante when life was much simpler about 6 years ago. So it's great to be back in West County and presenting on behalf of the fire district. We are rapidly transitioning at Con Fire from coronavirus fighting season to wildland season. So just a brief update on coronavirus. The county at all levels has been coordinating on vaccine distribution and fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. Everyone came together and it was a very successful venture. We're seeing really low case rates now throughout the county. Our goal is, number one, to provide service to the public, protect our folks, and we have very little issues with coronavirus affecting the organization due to a lot of preventative measures. But I'm just happy to report that the vaccination effort's been very successful. The virus is definitely not as active as it was, and the efforts of county health, Supervisor Joy's office, the sheriff's department, fire department, everybody came together to fight this pandemic. I think we have a lot to be proud of. The fire district right now is going through what's called an annexation study, and the board directed us to consider annexing in the East Contra Costa County Fire District and the Rodeo Hercules Fire District into Contra Costa County Fire. That is a process. Right now, the study is about 3/4 done, and it's going to get to the various political bodies, the Rodeo Hercules Fire District Board, East Contra Costa Fire District Board, and of course, the Board of Supervisors on behalf of Contra Costa Fire. Once that study is presented, it'll be in front of the electeds to consider whether or not to move forward with that annexation. I think it's going to do positives for West County. It'll bring us even closer in Battalion 7 with our coordination with Knoll and Rodeo Hercules, with Rodeo Hercules being potentially becoming part of the fire district. So more to come on that, but that annexation study is moving forward. In terms of operations, our fire weather is well in advance of a month ahead of what we would normally experience this time of year. Our fire inspectors are out there working east to west to address weed abatement issues and prevention issues. We have just gotten busier and busier, so we've added some new capabilities so we can more effectively respond to wildland fires. One of the biggest improvements is we now have a hand crew, and basically that's a specialized fire unit that is designed to respond specifically to wildland fires and fight fire with hand tools. So we have hired about 20 fire control workers, which are young firefighters getting their way into the fire service, and they're led by 4 of our career captains that lead them, and they assist us on wildland fires. So it's a great asset that we've added. We are now also staffing our bulldozer 24 hours a day until, at a minimum, November 1st. We have expanded our operations with air operations. So our helicopter joint operation with Reach is in service. Unfortunately, the helicopter is down now for maintenance, but we expect the helicopter to be available for bucket drops and rescues probably around July 1st, hopefully sooner. Helicopters require an incredible amount of maintenance. So we pushed the maintenance forward on that helicopter to have it available as much as possible during fire season. Let's see, that pretty much rounds out our wildland fire preparation. Some other programs that are developing for us is Con Fire has gotten its first search and rescue canine. His name is Bonus, and Bonus is actually assigned to one of our firefighters that works at Station 70 in San Pablo. The way a search and rescue dog works is basically Bonus lives with our firefighters in Vesta, and Bonus and firefighter Vesta are available to respond to search and rescue, particularly structural collapse, and Bonus is trained to locate victims quicker than the humans can. So great addition to our capabilities. Firefighter Vasta is not only assigned to our urban search and rescue team at Con Fire, but he also works with the FEMA rescue team based out of Oakland. So they respond to incidents all over the country. Facilities updates. You guys have probably all heard that we built our first brand new fire station in many years, and it's located in San Pablo. So Fire Station 70 opened last month. It's now operational. Station 70 will be adding what's called a truck company. That's essentially the apparatus that carries ladders. Our truck companies operate off of a tiller truck. So there's like a tractor and a trailer. Truck 70 will go into service about July 1st, which is a great addition to the West County firefighting capabilities. It adds 2 additional firefighters to Station 70. So now we'll have 7 firefighters stationed at Station 70 to better respond to incidents throughout West County and particularly San Pablo. We've been going through some communication updates and updating our capabilities in the communication center. One of those capabilities is tying our dispatch center into the wildfire camera network throughout the county. Actually, it extends throughout California, but it's a great capability for us because it gives us essentially real early warning if we were to have a fire throughout the county. In fact, I'm on the beta test team, and I get an alert anytime there is smoke sighted within those cameras in Contra Costa County, and it's pretty incredible how quickly the camera detects an issue and transmits it to us. It's literally within minutes of dispatch, or sometimes prior to dispatch. I'll get an alert of a smoke sighting, and that camera system's great. And the technology is just expanding, and what that really helps us do is respond to incidents quicker. And the quicker we get there, the smaller the fires are. So essentially, it's like the modern day equivalent of the fire spotters that are common throughout fire lookouts throughout America, but these systems are actually better and cover a larger area and are really a great expansion to our ability to detect fire and respond to fires faster. My current assignment is I oversee training for the entire fire district, and in addition to my duties as an assistant chief in responding to incidents. We just recently completed a truck academy for all of our truck stations throughout the county. We have 6 fire trucks assigned throughout the fire district, City of Antioch, City of Pittsburgh, City of Concord, City of Walnut Creek, City of Martinez, and now the City of San Pablo. And we did some specialized training for all those truck firefighters. We put in over 4,000 hours of training to improve their capabilities to basically provide all the functions that a truck company does. And basically what the truck company does is they help us force entry when we're locked out of places. They perform search and rescues at fires. They ventilate the structures, and it's a great capability. So all of our truck firefighters are even better now after completing that training. We're very focused on preparing for wildland fire season. We're actually doing some live fire burn training in the town of Rodeo. We just completed training 26 of our firefighters on how to fight fire with fire. So we have new firing qualified personnel throughout the fire district. And our plan in the next 2 weeks is to do some more hands-on wildland fire training, both mobile attack and hose lays. We've also been completing quite a bit of technical rescue training to improve our abilities to respond to confined space trench and complex collapse rescue scenarios. One of my other duties is to train our chiefs. So all of our chiefs recently completed a large incident evacuation training and planning for our wildland fire season. The evacuation training obviously is very high priority. We work with the sheriff's department through the community warning system and with all of our law enforcement agencies to better communicate in case of an emergency, notify folks that there's an evacuation, and then assist law enforcement in making sure that we follow that notification up with the actual evacuation. So James, that's the end of the report. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the commission might have.
Thank you very much, Chief Gage. So real quick, we're going to, I'm going to ask Tom Lang to officially begin our meeting. And then we will get into Chief Gage's questions, and then we will roll into our CHP presentation. Harry?
Okay. Apologies, everybody. I was having a struggle with my microphone, and then I figured out the source of the problem was that it wasn't plugged in. So congratulating myself for my technical acumen and figuring that out. And here we are, and I'd like to call the El Sobrante Municipal Advisory Council Wednesday, June 9th meeting to order. And this is a council which is advisory to the Board of Supervisors. So should we take roll call?
Yes, sir.
Or have we already done that?
Nope.
Okay, do you want to go through and take roll call, James?
I'm happy to do so. Tom Lang,
Here.
Tom Owens, let's see, Tom. Jim Herman. Dr. McLean says she wouldn't be able to make it. Joe Serapicillo. Oh, Mickey. I see Mickey.
Here.
George.
Hello.
Miss Shirley. I think I say, there you, I see you waving, Miss Shirley. Okay. And Emily.
Here.
I think I say, hi, Emily. There we go. All right, we do have a quorum. The treasurer's report is $3,000.
So we just heard from Contra Costa County Fire, correct?
Yes, we did. Assistant Fire Chief Gage just gave the presentation where I had Battalion Chief Thomas. So we are in a space for questions now for Chief Gage.
Okay, so a minute each, folks, for question.
Want to begin with the council, if the council has any questions? Tom?
Any questions for the council?
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, why don't we go to the audience?
All right, Harry, I see your hand up. Please unmute yourself. Thank you.
Yes, all my brilliance won't come across if I don't unmute myself. Yes, I just have a quick question for, can I call you Chief instead of Assist? Yeah, Chief Gage. Hi, how are you doing? I have a fire road. I'm at the corner of Upland and Green Ridge Drive, and the fire road is called the Green Ridge Trail. And it hasn't been graded, so it's kind of overgrown. And it would be nice if it was like a freeway, so that if any fire came up over that hill, that you guys could get to it post haste.
Yeah, I'd be happy to follow up on that for you. I believe that, and this is from some past knowledge, I believe that Upland and Green Ridge, that would be in an East Bay Regional Park. Is that accurate?
No, it's all private land.
The fire trail?
Yeah.
It's
The
all
fire
private.
road. The
Okay,
fire
great.
road.
No, I'd be happy to follow.
Yeah, it's all private land. The gate
I will
is
follow.
about 2 miles up that road. to the park.
Got it. So, okay, you're helping me out. So I'm familiar with that trail. Let me follow up on it, and I will get James an email.
Oh, that's
Follow
great.
up, and that way we can keep in touch.
Thanks.
our fire
I was
trails
really going
are-
to ask what I should do, but I'm glad you're going to do it for me. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, no, we have a program that maintains our fire trails. So let me check back on that, see if that trail was graded or not. It sounds like it wasn't. And I'll follow up with James and we'll get you some follow up on that.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
It looks like Martha Booth had a question for Chief Gage.
I don't have a question. I just wanted to express my gratitude for all the work you're doing to prepare for the wildfires. I'm right on the edge of a trail up park. It's like Harry has. There's a long winding trail. And that's one of my big concerns is a fire coming over the ridge and down on me. There's one row of houses before the wildlands start. And I'm just really grateful that you're doing so much. And it's very gratifying to hear about. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further questions for Chief Gage? James, do you see anybody?
I see Sona. Unmute yourself, please, Sona.
Hi, sorry. This is Sona. I do have a question. I live off of San Pablo Dam Road. I wanted to know the status of controlled burns in the county. I don't know anything about those. Every now and then I hear there's a controlled burn. I think last week there was one in Pinole. Are there going to be more? Are they effective? What do you think the fire season is going to be like for us?
Yeah, well, multiple questions there. Let me start with control burns. The control burns that we do in the fire district are generally for firefighter training. So the burn that we're doing in Rodeo that's actually on the Phillips 66 property is designed for firefighter training, but it has the added benefit of addressing some wildland fire risk. So the only control is that planned training, which is scheduled and run for another 5 days the following Monday.
Hey, Chief, you froze up a little
June
bit.
14th through June. We only do that training if, yeah, sorry about that. I just wanted to let you know that the Rodeo burning is a round training and it only occurs if we have very strict parameters, you know, less wind than this, not this hot, the humidity at a certain rate. So we schedule the training, we complete it in the morning to make sure that everything's conducted safely. The only other controlled burning that I know of that it's going on in the county is in the Moraga-Rinda Fire District. So there's no other local vegetation management burning going on in the El Sobrante Valley area. You asked about, you had one more question. I'm sorry, I might have missed it.
I just wanted to know if control burns are effective, and now I want to know what criteria do you use? Is there going to be one in our area, or is it not considered appropriate for control burn?
Most of the burning, you know, the controlled burning that occurs in the El Sobrante area would occur within the East Bay Regional Parks. There are no planned control burns in the East Bay Regional Parks that I know of. Usually if they do anything, they announce them well in advance. You asked if they're effective. They're definitely effective in removing some of the ladder fuels and the light fuels and preventing wildland fire. The problem is to do it safely within an urbanized area takes a lot of planning.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's just not it works, but it's an incredibly large undertaking and problem. So I hope that answered your question. It might not be the answer you're looking for, but we do our best to implement the weed abatement ordinance that we have in the county to make sure that homes are protected, that defensible space is created. But that's really the best answer I can provide for you, is that they do work, but there's just so much burning that would need to happen to protect the area that there's just currently not the level of funding and staffing to be able to do that.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Are there further questions?
Emily?
You're more.
Emily,
Yeah, thanks. Just as a quick follow-up, do you foresee that over the next 5 years, we'll be hearing about more controlled burns? If it's something that is effective but costly in the direction that the state and the region is heading, is there talk of more of this happening?
Yeah, there is talk about more of it happening. At the state level, Governor Newsom has adopted I would say a very progressive plan towards doing more controlled burning throughout the state. I don't know if you guys have heard, but we actually implemented a large fuel break project that went from Lafayette all the way to Wildcat Canyon and protecting kind of the town of Orinda and the town of Lafayette and moving into Tilden. So that was a project that's not going to absolutely eliminate wildland fire, but it's called a fuel break, and it's designed to kind of protect the urbanized areas from the wildland areas, kind of in the watershed where the East Bay Mud watershed is out in Briones Valley. And it's meant to essentially check up any fire that would spread from that area towards the urbanized area. So once they put that fuel break in, they maintain it. A lot of times they'll maintain it physically with mowing or hand crews. Sometimes they'll do some firing in there to protect that area. But there is a lot of work to do throughout the state. So it's good to see that the funding levels are increasing. Unfortunately, we're way ahead of schedule this year. And I would say conditions look more like, a lot of those projects can only be done at certain times of the year for safety. So I don't expect a lot of progress this year, but I do see more of an effort being made at the state and local level to implement those fuel mitigation projects.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
okay, are there further questions for Chief Gage?
None that I see.
Okay, Chief, thank you so much for your presentation and for your answers to the community's questions. And we really appreciate everything you and Contra Costa Fire are doing.
I appreciate it. Just in closing, we're kind of getting into that really dangerous time of year. So please take the time to do defensible space around your home as we are in very dry conditions right now. If you do any type of defensible space clearing, make sure you do it between, basically 7 o'clock in the morning and go no later than 10 o'clock in the morning, just so it's in that safe time period with a higher humidity. And then again, we have a lot of resources that James can get you in touch with regarding wildfire safety, how you can plan, how you can plan for evacuation, how you can plan for getting the information, getting logged into the community warning system. Please reach out to them. We'll provide you with all that information. Safe summer.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So James, it looks like our next item will be Officers Leviste and Lenway. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everybody. Officer Leviste. Thank you again for having me. I've got a lot to talk about after last month's meeting. First and foremost, I want to just let everybody know I'm finally back to full duty. I've been offered for a number of months here and things have kind of fallen apart while I was gone. So I did start, I'm back to full duty, and I'm sure most of you have seen me down there on Dam Road. I started on Monday, and I've kind of hit the ground running. I'm going to start with a couple issues that were emailed to me or questions. One was concerning a pedestrian fatal collision that happened recently. I think in the email it pointed out that the collision was in the last couple of weeks. There was none in the last couple of weeks. The latest fatality collision we have on Dam Road was back on April 1st. And that was at the on Dam Road near Creekside. That was an unfortunate circumstance where a young man was driving eastbound in the morning. The sun was in his eyes, and also the pedestrian was unfortunately crossing Dam Road in a outside of a crosswalk. But no alcohol and no drugs were suspected. Now, there was also mention of another traffic collision recently. But I couldn't find specific information on that. I did have a hit and run traffic collision, but didn't have much. There was not much to report on it. It was a minor collision as far as our reporting stated. There was some questions about statistics on San Pablo Dam Road, and I got statistics for 2019 through the current year. 2019 on San Pablo Dam Road, and I can only speak for the unincorporated portion of Dam Road. That's from El Portal, extending all the way to the city limits of Orinda. And within that year, we had 97 traffic collisions in 2019. In 2020, we had 51 traffic collisions reported to the Highway Patrol, and then year to date, 2021, we have 21. It is a downward trend, but that doesn't mean that we need to continue to be vigilant, obviously, with the speed and safety concerns on San Pablo Dam Road. Next were the speed complaints. Our office is receiving all of them. The emails that I receive, I forward straight to my supervisor, which in turn gets forwarded straight to my management staff. The 911 calls, I almost hear them on a daily basis. I've heard it every single day since I came back on the road. And so these help, because this is our way of documenting that there is a need for the resources out here on Dam Road. I wanted to give a little background, a little perspective on the resources that the Highway Patrol has available. Now, the Contra Costa area office has seen a steady decline in staffing, unfortunately, in the last maybe 5 to 10 years. At this point where we're at right now, on a typical day, the CHP office has one officer for all of West County. And that means everything west of Alhambra in Martinez. So like today, I'm the West End beat unit, which means I'm responsible for not only El Sobrante, Rodeo, Port Costa, Interstate 80 from the Carquinez Bridge to Appian Way, and Highway 4 from Alhambra down to 80. So when you do see an officer, you've got the guy. You've got the guy. And that's on a typical day. Usually, the entire county gets about 6 to 8 officers for the entire county. And those are the resources we're dealing with. Now, because of the concerns that have been brought to my attention, and then I forwarded all those concerns to my supervisor and my managerial staff. I understand it took a while to get the ball rolling, but it is rolling and it's picking up momentum. The captain of our office is very well of the concerns. We started throwing more resources out that way. I'm sure you noticed I've been able to get the radar trailer out to Dam Road. I got it out there on Monday. I put it down there westbound near Milton, right where the speed limit changes from 40 to 25 miles an hour. Yesterday, I brought it out closer towards La Honda. There's that long stretch of Dam Road where seen some higher speeds, and I left it out there all day. And then I brought it out there again this afternoon and brought it back there to Milton. Now, if anybody has any suggestions as to where else might be a better place to place it, please let me know here in the comments. I'm usually the one that brings it out there, which it's an undertaking in itself. I'm typically on a motorcycle, so that requires me to get a patrol car and bring the trailer. I have to bring the trailer back and forth from Martinez every the start of my shift and the end of my shift. So it does take a while, but if you have any suggestions of better places to put it, please let me know. I'll take a look at it and place it accordingly. In the past, we've had what they called a community response officer in the West End, but because of our staffing levels, that position has not been staffed for quite some time, and unfortunately, that kind of leaves it up to me, the beat officer, to field a lot of these concerns. Our staffing is starting to slowly climb back up. I'm being told by my management that they are looking at replacing that position again. And I'm hoping that's sooner than later, but they haven't given me any definite timelines for that yet. Oh, I'm sorry, let me circle back to the statistics. Those statistics were obtained via our interagency reporting system. I inquired about public access. If the public has access to that, it doesn't look like that's the case. I inquired about where the public can obtain such statistics, and I didn't get a response yet. So I'm going to continue to ask about that, and if I can find something, I'll be sure to bring that forward at one of the future meetings. And then last, I just wanted to make it blatantly clear that this is only the beginning. Again, now that I'm back to the road, I can directly affect what's going on here in El Sobrante. James has been sending me some emails about some concerns about parking complaints, which I quickly took care of. There was a vehicle parked there on the south edge of the roadway on Dam Road near La Colina. I was able to tow that today. There was also concern about another pickup in front of an address. I've actually dealt with the occupants of that address a number of times. They have a number of vehicles. I think there was some inquiry whether or not it was a chop shop. I can't say that for sure, but they do have a number of vehicles that they do tend to work on. They don't like to work on it on their property. They tend to work on it on the side of the road. But I've made contact with them, and I've tagged a couple of their vehicles, so that they're aware that that address or that location is under my radar. So hopefully, I did tag that vehicle today. Hopefully we'll see it move here in the next few days. And if it's still there in the next few days, then I'll go ahead and tow that vehicle. I think I hit everything that I had notated here. I'm happy to listen to any questions from the MAC or from the community here.
Yeah.
Questions for Officer Leviste. Sona has her hand up.
Tom, are we gonna go with the council and then?
I'm sorry.
No worries.
So questions from the council members. Thank you, James, for pointing that out. Are there any questions from council members for Officer Leviste? Okay, looks like Emily has her hand up. I think you need to unmute yourself, Emily.
Sorry about that. Thank you so much, Officer Leviste, for all that you do. That is wild to hear that there is one beat officer for that whole arena. That is a lot. So in addition to thinking that somebody else might be coming in as a sort of community liaison, do you see that maybe soon there will be more than one beat officer covering that whole amount? And is there a way that we as community members can advocate for that?
I mean, beat assignments are based on call volume. Again, call volume is everything to us. Now with the recent influx of calls, 911 calls about the area, and complaints about the various things that happen out here. That definitely helps. I don't want to say every year, but every so often we go and kind of redistribute the beats when it's needed. But again, even with the staffing levels the way they are, it would require a lot more resources to get a second officer. And that's just typically, like, there's certain days when we do have 2 officers out here, but again, even with 2 officers, it's a large area to cover, and we can unfortunately only be at one place at one time. So the way the highway patrol works is because we're a state agency, they kind of spread our resources out throughout the entire state. And I can't see that not hurting, requesting more officers out here on the west side of the county, because that would definitely make my job a little bit easier. But in order to get a second officer, we would have to have 6 working that particular shift, and that's unfortunately few and far between.
But it sounds like the noise that we're making about whether it's speeding or things that are happening, the calls that are coming in, the emails that are coming in, that's at least probably helping move it in the right dial.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Again, the call volume is what determines where the resources are allocated. And unfortunately, in the past, the West County has kind of been unfortunately like the redheaded stepchild, for lack of a better term. Most of the resources get sent out east, where the residents out there are very vocal. So if we continue to
we'll just get noisier.
call these in, I'm sorry?
We'll just get noisier.
There you go. There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Thanks,
That'll make my job easier.
So I've got a question before we go to Sona. And that question is, how much traffic enforcement has sort of traditionally been done by the sheriffs as well? Because, hopefully there's a sheriff on point, when CHP is in another part of the West County.
So the way we distribute our responsibilities is the sheriffs would typically handle the penal code violations, whereas the vehicle code violations are handled by the CHP. So it's uncommon for the sheriffs to do traffic enforcement. That's not to say that they don't. I know that they do, but their primary role is to respond to penal code violations, and that's what their supervisors hold them accountable to. I do get assistance from them occasionally. Like, for example, this radar trailer. I know the sheriff's department does have a radar trailer. I've been trying to work out a deal, or I'm trying to contact some people about working out a deal to maybe get their radar trailer out this way, because it's a lot easier for them to get theirs out here than it is for me to go back and forth between Martinez. But again, typically that's not something that they deal with, only on occasion, that if they see something, that egregious, that they would kind of divert from their primary role.
Okay, thank you. Are there any more questions from the board, from the council? In that case, we'll go first to Sona Kaur, and then Will Plut had his hand up as well.
Hi, Dr. Sorry, I didn't mean to say doctor. I work in a hospital, so the first thing I thought was a doctor. Officer Levisti, I want to welcome you back full-time, and really truly appreciate your very thorough follow-up on our questions. That's a very good start. And I want to, as on behalf of our San Pablo Dam Road Safety Task Force, and some of our group members are here on the call, and I want to continue this dialogue, so really appreciate. My only question, well, I have 3 short questions. One is that of those traffic collisions that you reported for the last 2 years and year to date this year, how many, if you know, how many were fatalities? How many resulted in fatalities?
I don't have that information right now. I can look it up. Off the top of my head, again, I've been out for approximately a year on injury. So prior to that, I was typically the swing shift officer. And in the past, I think in 2020, there was, you know what? I don't want to give false information. I handled personally one fatality traffic collision here in the last couple of years, but that's not. I can't speak for the weekend officer. So what I'll do is I'll get that information and have it ready for next month's meeting.
Thank you. And my next question is, last year, I'm assuming it was COVID lockdown that there were fewer 51 collisions. What do you think? Do you think it was the COVID or what worked? I'm just curious if there's anything else worked that we can do.
Hard to say. COVID could definitely have been a contributing factor. Yeah, because in 2019, I wasn't on full duty and I worked that entire year. Midway through 2021 is when I got injured. So I can't speak for what happened the second half of last year, but definitely COVID with the less number of vehicles on the road would equate to less traffic collisions, obviously. I can't think of anything else that's really changed. The roadway really hasn't changed in a really long time. There have been small changes to where vehicles can park and where they cannot park, but I would probably say that COVID probably was one of the contributing factors to the number of collisions going down. Hopefully, moving forward with the added attention towards the area, with continued enforcement, we can kind of keep that number on the lower side. Because like I said, back in 2019, it was almost double that. We almost had 100 collisions on the dam road there.
No, you're probably right. It makes sense. I just didn't want to assume. I wanted to hear if you had any thoughts on that from your expert eye. And then our task force has been discussing the possibility of having flashing signs on parts of the road both ways. What does that sound like? Is that something you can do for us, or?
That's going to probably require my assistance. The traffic engineer, we spoke about our meeting last month. It included those discussions. It included Pebble Drive. I will speak more on that when we get to my part, but that's a question for the traffic engineer. More than Officer Leviste, unless Tim, you know something I don't, and I can.
I think we know the same. I think we know the same people. So as long as the right people get the word.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. And I just want to make sure that our group members have a chance to speak up or ask anything else they want to. I think we have Doug, Will, and I'm not sure if Brooke's on the call. Thank you for me.
Okay.
Thank you, Sona. And then Will.
I think Will Plute had his hand up.
Yeah, hi, thanks. Yeah, I'm just wondering, you're talking about this speed feedback trailer. Are there places in the county where they have permanent ones, like in Orinda, driving into Orinda, there's a permanent solar powered sign. Is that an option? That would be maybe for James more than for you, but does that exist anywhere?
I know they do exist, but James, do you know how do we go about making it happen?
I cannot think of a location in West County, Will.
East County, Central County?
There's one out by the reservoir that is in county property in the big straightaway by the reservoir. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, thank you, Doug.
So yeah, I think trailers are great, but they go away, and if people don't keep yelling, they don't come back. Having a permanent sign would be good. James, maybe that's something that could be thrown into the mix with the upcoming project with the dam road.
Agreed. And that was included in my discussion with the traffic engineer.
Okay.
So they are looking at that as part of our assessment.
Okay. And just one last thing. So a few years back, a lot of people were complaining, and suddenly there were two motorcycle cops on the dam road. They were just handing out tons of tickets. Were those CHP or Richmond or what?
Yeah, that was today. That was myself, and I was able to acquire a second officer to back me up. So this afternoon there was two of us. Again, because now that I'm back on the road, you're going to be seeing a lot of me down there on the dam road.
Okay. And
I think in the past, Will, it was Tim, correct me if I'm getting the name wrong, the J team, like there was an enforcement team. Am I saying that wrong? That
the J team was put together for they had a specific task. Sometimes they're for vehicle theft. They have specific goals in mind, and that was an interagency task force. I haven't seen, they still have a vehicle theft team, but because of budget in the recent era, those things have been few and far between, unfortunately. Again, it comes down to money and the resources. We just don't have the resources to get those things going anymore. There used to be grant money for overtime to do enforcement and stuff like that. That stuff's long gone. We haven't seen a lot of that in a long, long time.
Okay. And last thing, I'll try to be real quick here. There's a lot of Richmond out here. Do the Richmond police do any enforcement in the city of Richmond? Do they do any traffic enforcement, or is that all CHP?
They do, excuse me, they do traffic enforcement within their city limits. Very rarely do they venture out outside of their city limits. They do have little pockets amongst El Sobrante, but they very rarely venture outside. And again, because they're in the same boat, their resources are tied up too. So they want to spend their resources accordingly.
Yeah, they're being pushed, but just as a long-term consideration, there's a lot of Richmond taxpayers living out here in the Valley, a large group, and there's pieces of Richmond on the dam road. And, I think this is probably not the year they're fighting a huge cutback, but just in the long term, maybe thinking about getting Richmond involved.
Yeah, in the past, we've gotten together, like I've worked task force together with not only Richmond PD, but like Pinole PD and some of the Hercules PD. And getting the groups together is a little bit of an undertaking. Mm-hmm. And it does unfortunately require, in the past when we've had those task force, it was funded by grants. So, with the resources the way they are, it's kind of slim for us, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, I understand. Okay, thank you.
Okay, George. Yeah, thanks for your question, Will. George has a question.
Not a question, more of a comment. I understand the focus is on Dam Road, and rightfully so. I ask that a tiny bit of attention be paid to Hilltop Drive again, and that is something where I think CHP would partner with City of Richmond. Here's what I saw today as I was going up the hill to Hilltop Drive from my house and making a left turn onto Hilltop. A couple of cars that were traveling westbound towards the freeway. Car A was doing the speed limit. Car B was very impatient. There is a center turn lane that starts at the Hilltop and Santa Maria and goes down to the entrance to the Memorial Park. And Car B, impatient, took it upon itself and passed Car A in the center turn lane, going at, I'm going to guess, somewhere approximately between 45 and 50 miles per hour. So just things like that, and overall speeding on that stretch of Hilltop. Because a small chunk of Hilltop is actually in the city of Richmond, actually right where it parallels that turn lane, it might be helpful to CHP to reach out to Richmond and say, hey, can you have a patrol there occasionally? Because it's mostly eastbound coming from the freeway overpass where people are going up the hill and they get mad at me because I'm doing the speed limit. Thereabouts 25 miles per hour. People want to go faster. So just something to think about. When if there's ever a spare moment, to have maybe have a car parked on the side, CHP on the side of the road going up the hill eastbound, so that people can say, hey, there's a cop here. Maybe we shouldn't drive like fools. So
I will. What I can do is I can reach out to the Richmond officers that I'm acquainted with and see if they can do something on their end as well. Definitely Hilltop will also be on my radar. In the past, before my injury, I was working on the stop signs. People were blowing those stop signs there on Hilltop quite frequently. I did show up, and it seemed to have changed the mood down there for a little bit, and then I went away for maybe a few weeks, and I came back, and it started all over again. So I'll be sure to not forget about Hilltop. I'll be sure to spend some time up there here in the coming days and weeks.
Thanks.
And I'll follow up with an email to Richmond's PIO, Lieutenant Stonebreaker. I'll loop him in as well.
The only thing I ask is don't pull me over. That's all I ask. No, I'm kidding.
So in the spirit of George's comment, I just wanted to bring up another concern, and the reason why I bring it up is that I've noticed it several times recently. And so this relates to the on-ramp to 80 West from El Portal. So, you know, it's a 2-lane on-ramp with dual lights. And today was the 3rd time that somebody simply blew through one of the red lights at high speed. And in this case, I had already had my green and was moving into the lane when this person blew right past me with very little space to spare. And I'm wondering how often you've had this problem reported to you.
Quite frequently, actually. Quite frequently. Especially because those traffic signals on the freeway on-ramps are controlled by time. I mean, they're on during certain times a day. Primarily during the commute hours. And there's sometimes when those signals are on, even though traffic conditions are light and the lights there aren't warranted. So what we've learned, if people tend to just forget that signal's there. And you know, obviously when I'm there, I'm able to take action, but again, if I can only be one place at one time. So, but that El Portal on-ramp, I'm sure you're aware, I used to work that on-ramp frequently. That's my gold mine for carpool violations. I used to sit there all day long from 3 to 7 and just get as many as I can. That's a great spot. So I'll be sure to keep tabs or be mindful of that those traffic signals. And I can also reach out to the Oakland CHP office. El Portal kind of is at the border between Oakland CHP and Contra Costa CHP. On the freeway, Appian Way is the cutoff. So everything west of Appian is Oakland CHP. Everything east is Contra Costa CHP. But then El Portal until, San Pablo Dam Road until El Portal is all Contra Costa CHP. So there's some weird jurisdictional lines, and I'll be sure to share that information with my neighboring offices.
Yeah, and just a thought, you know, obviously you can't be everywhere at one time, but just like there are deterrent effects you can put along San Pablo Dam Road, you know, to potentially change people's risk calculations about speeding. You know, I'm wondering if there's some best practice that's been employed for on-ramps to get people to look out for those lights. Because this is really, I mean, people are going super fast.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. And you know, it's weird. Ever since COVID hit, the number of reckless vehicles that we've encountered have multiplied dramatically. I mean, the people have gotten a lot more bold when it comes to their erratic driving habits. And it blows my mind. I mean, I've been on the department for 15 years, and just within the last year, it's just gotten so much crazier. So I totally agree. I totally understand. And again, it's just going to be a matter of us being out there and seeing these violations and being able to make the appropriate enforcement contacts.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Doug has his hand up.
I just wanted to ask, Officer Levisit?
Leviste,
how do you pronounce your name?
You're fine.
Okay. Anyway, we appreciate what you've been doing. I've been out here, I've seen it, and it's great. I just want to know, we have a time slot here for the San Pablo Dam Road. I was wondering, are you going to still be here for that?
On this meeting, I can hang out definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Because some of the things I'll go over then. So
Okay.
we can go ahead and move along.
So really quick, Miss Shirley, did you have a question? I feel like I saw you wave at the camera. Please unmute yourself. There you go. I can't hear you.
I don't think her mic is working.
Miss Shirley, I can't hear you. I see that you're unmuted. Oh. Miss Shirley, email me your question, okay? Can you email me your question? We can't hear you. I'm sorry.
James, if I may, I'm reading some of the chat questions here. There was a question about the radar trailer, whether or not it keeps statistics. It does not. It's merely a radar device, and it displays the radar reading. So I like to place it in places, especially that location in Milton where the speed limit goes down from 40 to 20 to 25. I find that to be a great spot, and it seems to have a pretty big effect on the flow of traffic. Even setting it up, I hear cars like, just rapidly decelerating. I notate here that maybe, where is it? Eastbound near Clark. I'll go take a look at that area and see where's a good place. We also can't afford to have our trailer to get crashed into, so we need a good spot where it won't be a traffic hazard as well. So I'll definitely look in the Clark area and see if there's anything eastbound there that where I can put it and where it will be effective.
Okay, so if there are no further questions for Officer Leviste, I think we can go on to the next item. I think that, Officer Leviste will be involved in the discussion regarding speeding concerns along San Pablo Dam Road and Pebble Drive anyways, so we can revisit items then. But I think now we should probably move into James's presentation.
All right. So I will get right to it. I made sure this month now I have to find it, to highlight the talking points that I want to read. So we are sent highlights from the Health Services Department with COVID-related information, and I'm going to take a few moments to read through the most current talking points. Fully vaccinated people who work in non-healthcare settings are not required to undergo diagnostic screening for COVID-19 if they have no symptoms or known exposure to the virus. The California Department of Public Health today updated its COVID-19 health guidance for routine COVID-19 testing in the workplace. Testing is still recommended for anyone who has COVID-19 symptoms or who was exposed to someone with a confirmed case of COVID-19. California plans to fully reopen the economy on June 15th. Contra Costa Health Services does not place stricter limits on activities in terms of social distancing, masking, capacity limits, or other aspects than what is placed under state guidance. The state's Occupational Health and Safety Standards Board plans to relax workplace safety rules for people who are vaccinated against COVID-19 when California's Blueprint for a Safer Economy sunsets on June 15th. Masks would still be required in workplaces where employees interact with the public, such as retail stores and restaurants, and masking requirements would remain unchanged at medical facilities. The current state health guideline requiring workers to maintain physical distance indoors if they are not wearing masks would remain until July 31st, according to the revised Cal OSHA standards. The Association of Bay Area Health Officers has announced its support for full-time in-person instruction for all grades when the 2021-2022 school year begins. And the last couple of things I'm going to read. So California's new Vax for the Win program is offering more than $15 million in cash lottery prizes for state residents who have been vaccinated. 10 winners will be selected on June 15th to receive $1.5 million each. All Californians who have had at least one COVID-19 vaccine dose are automatically entered. A total of 30 residents with at least one COVID-19 vaccine dose also will be automatically entered into a weekly drawing on Fridays to win $50,000. 15 people won $50,000 on Friday, June 4th, and another 15 will win on Friday, June 11th. The program also offers $50 gift cards as inducement for unvaccinated Californians to get their shots. Starting on May 27th, the first 2 million Californians 12 or older to complete their COVID-19 vaccinations will receive gift cards for online shopping or groceries. And the last thing, as of Monday morning, Monday this week, 75.8% of Contra Costa residents ages 12 and older were partially vaccinated, and 66.7% were fully vaccinated. 65.1% of Californians have at least one vaccine dose, according to state data. So that is all on the COVID update. I also wanted to mention, and the county recently updated its fireworks ordinance. And I am going to send that out in an email so everyone can take a look at that. That came out yesterday. So I will send that out to everyone. And what is the last thing? Nope, that was it.
Okay.
Yep, that was the last of what I got.
So
Are there questions? I'm sorry, are there questions for the council?
Yeah, so I'd like to lead off, and I just want to congratulate the county on, a couple of things. First of all, just that big effort to get everybody vaccinated and, doing those deals with the federal government to get the extra vaccine. And I really applaud the push for vaccine equity, getting vaccines to underserved areas. And I've been looking at the county webpage, public health webpage, and it does show that, some of our communities, I'm thinking San Pablo, Richmond in particular, still have fairly low rates compared to other parts. I'm thinking, Orinda, El Cerrito, Lafayette, a big difference. And I'm wondering, what special effort is going to be made now to really get those vaccines to these last groups of people who probably want to be vaccinated, but aren't able to make it into clinics and things like that. Are there any plans for, let's say, having, vaccinations going to people's houses or, driving to workplaces, things like that? Because that last set of unvaccinated people is going to be really critical, especially coming into the fall when people move indoors and we can expect that the variants will really be here in force. Sorry for that long-winded comment.
No, you're good. I will forward you the email because for whatever reason, we've got an update in Outlook and I cannot find the email. But Supervisor Joyce sent out an email and also participated in a video about the county making mobile vaccination more available. And if I find it before the end of our meeting, I will read it. But yes, Tom, the county is making a more concerted effort to meet people where they are with regard to providing the vaccine. As soon as I find it, I will put the link to it in the chat. There's a news story that Supervisor Joya participated in that spoke about that. I will put that in the chat as well. And as soon as I find the e-blast, I will stick that in there as well.
Okay, are there any questions for James from council members before I go to Chief Gage?
Thank you.
Okay, Chief.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that Supervisor Joya and the leadership in the county has been very active towards essentially shifting gears in the vaccine distribution. So I know that the county health's focus now is smaller vaccination teams going into underserved areas to try to get the vaccine to where people live. I would highly recommend that if anyone on the council is aware of someone who has any barriers to getting vaccinated, or you're aware of an area that needs special attention, you can contact the county on the website through the health department and bring those areas of concern to people's attention. So I know that the vaccine distribution is very much moving from kind of that mass vaccination mode to real targeted community-based vaccination efforts.
Yeah, I just want to thank you, Chief Gage. I just wanted to follow up with that quickly before we go to Jean. And that is, I was wondering if, for example, the county has maybe thought of the idea of vaccine ambassadors. And I'm thinking for the Spanish-speaking community. So people who live in those communities and can actually, you know, deal intimately with potential cultural barriers that might lend to perhaps suspicion or reluctance about the vaccine.
The county does have an ambassador program. There are Spanish-speaking members of that program, and I've seen them as recent as a couple of weeks ago. They were in April and May. They were at the Veterans Hall on 23rd Street when the big vaccination effort was occurring there. Many of our Spanish-speaking ambassadors were present to assist with registration, answering questions, things like that. And that team has been deployed into San Pablo and into Richmond to help spread the word.
That's great, thank you. And I believe Jean had a question.
Actually, I have two. Thank you, James. I have two, actually. We're now to the size groups that next door might be of use. And I don't know who the least threatening people are to post on Nextdoor. I'm not sure if it's really the fire department, but those are groups that we could say, hey, if you know of a couple of households that you think could use a call, please ask them to call here, or please post wherever your information goes for the fire department online. The other thing is, I wonder if we want to send, it's probably social workers out to the biggest homeless encampments and say, we would love to bring shots to you. They're just like the shots everybody else gets. They won't hurt you. Free healthcare, will take your blood pressure, whatever. But there's enough people that are unhoused that it could really make a difference.
I will find out, Jean. I know that Supervisor Joy is on the task force along with our chief of staff. I will ask. That is a great suggestion. I don't know if it's been made, but I will find the answer.
Okay. Any more questions for James? So if we don't see any more questions, we can just like to thank you, James, for the presentation. Thank the county leadership for spearheading this vaccine effort. It's going to be, our great numbers are really going to help us when crunch time comes back around in the fall.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. So the next item are discussion items, and such as development plan applications, variance reports, building modification requests. We don't have any applications this month, so we're going to move to a couple of other items. And the first one is continuing on from our discussion with Officer Leviste and Officer Lenway on speeding concerns along San Pablo Dam Road and Pebble Drive.
So Tom, I'm sorry, Tom, go ahead.
It's probably a good idea to have the safety task force start up, and maybe a few of its members give.
So that was number 2. I know we talked about forming it, but Melinda was the person that.
Committee. This is for the speeding concerns, because I know Doug is here from this.
Oh, right. So what I want to do with that, because Sona reached out to me. Sona wrote a couple things down that she wants to talk about. Then we will go to Doug. We will try to integrate some of the answer some of the questions as we go along, unless there's, you know, a great list of them, then maybe we can go through them and then they can respond. But the idea is to have Sona go, and then Doug, and then Emily, you, anything else on Pebble that you want to bring up, and then I will give an update on what we've initiated with the traffic engineering department.
Okay, that sounds great. So why don't we start, Sona?
James, I don't have any more questions.
Okay.
Officer, he gave a very good follow-up.
Thank you. I'm sorry, thank you. I didn't do anything, my bad. Yeah. Doug?
Yes, I just wanted to say we have noticed what the officers have been doing, and it is having results. A couple of suggestions on the radar trailer is it needs to be done in the eastbound direction also. And the location by La Honda, if you'll look right above the radar, where you set the radar trailer, the 40-mile-an-hour sign is almost completely blocked by a tree. Can we get that tree cut back?
Doug, send me the address where that is.
It's right at La Honda Road, just after La Honda Road on San Pablo Dam Road.
Eastbound on Dam Road at La Honda?
Westbound.
Westbound, thank you.
Yeah, you pointed out a good, that's actually the exact reason why I put that there, is because the sign was covered, and it's funny that you brought that up. And I also had a request to put it, I focused primarily this week on westbound traffic. Next week's efforts will be primarily on the eastbound traffic. So just moving forward, that's kind of my thought process here. Just giving you guys where my head's at right now.
Yeah, and I check traffic regularly in front of my place, which is just a little west of where you've been putting the trailer by Milton. And it has had an effect. People are starting to slow down. We still have the individual crazies that I don't think anybody's going to ever fix unless you give them a ticket.
Even when they get a ticket, that doesn't stop them.
Probably not. And one other thing, when you said people were slowing down when you were placing the trailer, well, that's because they see you. You guys, those black and white vehicles and those red and blue lights have an awful lot of effect on the traffic, because I was out there, what was it, night before last, or last night? Night before last, when somebody, it was probably you, took off after somebody there by Milton and gave them a ticket down by Appian. It was amazing how the people would slow down a little bit when they saw the sign, but then they slowed down a whole lot when they saw your red and blues going. So,
well, I can only hope that we can get more of me out there. You know what I mean? Officer Lenway, who's on here today, unfortunately, he's also out on injury, and we hope to see him back here in the next month or two. So as soon as Officer Lenway here, who's my partner, would just heal up, we could get him out there, and then maybe we can do some Ponch and John kind of tag team action out there on Dam Road.
Yeah, because it is having an overall effect. I'm seeing, when the average speed in my 25 zone was 50, and I had clocked some people going over 60. Anyway, now we're down to like 40, which is
we're working our way down.
Still 40 in the 25 is not cool, but it's a big improvement.
We're working our way down.
45 is about average now, so we did get it down a little bit.
Okay.
We're getting there.
Yeah,
it'll take some time, but we're getting there.
And then James, I would like to see the county working towards some permanent signs. I know the county has them. Those ones that were put out there by the dam is less than a year ago. And I feel our neighborhoods with people trying to get in and out of driveways is more important than that open stretch out there by the dam. So I wish they would give us some consideration.
Yes, sir. It's definitely under consideration already. Excuse me. It is under consideration. That was part of my request that I made after our meeting last month.
It looks like Sona has a point to make.
I want one more thing.
I'm sorry, Doug.
that I think ought to be considered because of all the driveways on the San Pablo Dam Road. Now, I've heard something about, there's a study going on by the county, and I heard the county wanted to increase speeds to get the traffic through. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But what I truly believe is from Castro Ranch Road all the way, even through my 25 zone, all the way to APM Way should be 35. That's a decent speed to try and get in and out of driveways. And we have a lot of driveways in that section. That gives you the area out there from Tri-Lane to Castro to, and I hate to throw those neighbors under the bus, but that gives a 45 or a 40 in that area to start bringing the traffic down and go 35 and then go 25 downtown. Seems like a very sensible usage of this area and enforce those speeds.
Copy that. I will amend my
suggestion.
I will amend my email to the traffic engineer and email him tonight.
Thank you.
And Sona?
Yes, I only have a recommendation for our task force, and then I need your help with this in the future. We should also consider doing some community outreach for residents on the Dam Road, for those who park on the streets. And I recently almost got into a crash because this driver was pulling out of their parking spot near an apartment building, and they were halfway on the road while socializing, still catching up with the family members, saying goodbyes. So that kind of awareness can help too. It's not just the speeding drivers, it's also people's behavior. Maybe they've just gotten relaxed about it. They don't have the knowledge on the number of collisions and how that can affect drivers. I was lucky that I was going slow. Otherwise, it would have been an accident. So in the future, our group can consider just a recommendation, and then we'll get your help if needed.
So Sona, really quickly, if you generate a handout, Mickey Norris, one of our council members, generated a flyer for illegal dumping that she gives out. If you have a list of things you want the residents that live on the Dam Road to consider, if you come up with something, I'm happy to do the printing. It may be good to have hard copies to pass out to neighbors that live along the road. So if you and your neighbors come up with something, I'm happy to do the printing, but I think it would be helpful to have something to give to people. I know there are lots of apartment complexes, maybe you could put them in the lobby or something like that. But if you generate a flyer like Mickey has, I can send you the link to hers. I think she did a fantastic job. It has really pertinent information, gives good advice to residents. I think creating something similar with the sheriff's non-emergency, the CHP non-emergency number on it, tips for residents, entering and exiting the driveway, something in that vein, I think you'd probably find is very useful. And it lets all your neighbors know who aren't able to make it to the meetings that someone, that the neighbors care, that the county is being involved, but it'll signal to them, and that may help with some of that behavior we're talking about.
Thank you so much. I will take this back to our task force and come up with something. It sounds like a doable thing to do. I mean, a good thing to do. It's doable. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. Not to give you any work or anything.
All right. It's a good work.
So if there are no further points for this first.
Just one last thing, Tom.
Okay.
So Emily, for Pebble Drive, so I spoke with the traffic engineer. He is their their technician that was tasked with doing the speed counts was sent to the Emergency Operations Center for COVID. So this person has not been in the office. I found out speaking with Monish. It's been like 1 month in the office, 3 months in the COVID-19 call center. So many of the departments across the county gave up staff to participate in the Emergency Operations Center. to answer the phone and things of that nature. I don't always know which departments are affected. I know it's a thing, but I found out from the traffic engineer that one person that they've been using to do that has spent a lot of this last year working in the EOC. So the testing will happen July, maybe August, but the idea is to get out there. The most recent count that we have for Pebble Drive was taken in 2018. So I asked for a new one. It'll take a little bit of time to do it. It also explains why it hasn't already been done. I just didn't know that. So I apologize. I didn't know that their staff member was just not in the office. So
thanks for letting me know. I mean, yeah, it continues to be a situation from Hilltop down to Appian Way. It's just a straight shot downhill, and people fly. And while we continue to fantasize about a speed bump, that would just really mess up their suspension. What we are doing, and sort of Officer Leviste in the spirit of like just making a noise is, and I don't know, Sona, if this is helpful at all, but we've made a flyer that we passed out to all of the residents on Pebble Drive and on White Sands Court that's just asking kind of for like short testimonies of any problems that they've had, whether it's like cars, beating on their horns while they're just trying to turn into their driveway, or pets that have been killed, which has happened, or people's property that has been damaged, which has happened, or kids that have been almost hit, which has happened. So we're working on putting all those together, and then we'll be sending that along, and we're just trying to make a good noise as a street, because it is such an issue. I'm so sorry to hear that, someone is ill and that things got tasked out. And also August sounds a little far away. But so we'll keep trying to rally up a noise and try to bring some attention to it.
good to go. Thank you, Emily. And Tim, sort of piggybacking on Emily, anytime you can get over to Pebble Drive, what is it, Emily, 4 to 6 in the morning and 7 to 9 in the evening, I think is what I saw in the emails.
Yeah, or if you want to come late at night, it's a drag race party. Yeah.
Got it. I primarily work the swing shift hours, so I will try to get in touch with the. Here's the thing with the West County. On swing shift, I'm always the guy, but day shift and graveyards, it's kind of like a revolving door, because on day shift we don't have any people that work the West End consistently, and same for graveyard. So I'll try to touch base with those two shifts and see if they can spend some time down here as well. Getting them to get as motivated as I am, it proves to be a little bit more difficult, but I'll definitely have some conversations. And then again, once if and when our staffing levels get back to something manageable, that position I mentioned earlier, the community response officer, this is what I'm doing right now is essentially like a full-time job. And yet I'm kind of getting spread thin here, having to deal with the other calls across West County. So hopefully, and they're telling me it's soon. They keep telling me it's soon, but when that happens and we get somebody that can focus their entire energy and attention on our needs out here on the West County, that would just make things great. But in the meantime, yes, definitely, I notated down here, down Pebble, White Sands area. I'm gonna go check that place out and spend some time down there. I notated you just said 7 to 9 in the evening, which is within my hour. So maybe, what time is it now? I might be able to swing.
Yeah, actually, it's 7 to 9. It's commuter hours, so 7
to 9
in the morning and like 4 to 6 in the evening.
Okay. I'll check it out, and I'll try to make it out there next week and see. And again, the hours help. The hours absolutely help, because otherwise I'm kind of shooting in the dark here. I'll go out there and I don't see a single car, and then turns out I missed the window completely. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'll definitely take a look at it next week.
Yeah, it's a commuter connection from Appian to Hilltop, and so that's when they're taking it. Or at night with the speed racing, we are a favored street.
Okay, so two things real quick. Our second discussion item with the Public Safety Committee, Melinda was the lone volunteer last month, so I think we'll wait to form that when she's present next month, unless there are objections to that.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay, and then secondly, Doug, I see your hand. Tim, I also want your input a little bit. So I know people hear us talking about using words like we don't have resources, which I know folks know, we don't have money. Staffing, are we talking about, optimal for Contra Costa County would say be 12 officers and we have 6 officers? And is that related to just law enforcement in general, not being able to hire people not wanting to, how much of this is there are CHP officers being trained to come out here, and how much of this is, we're just short across the entire department, we just don't have people?
No, James, you hit the nail on the head. Staffing I started, like I said, about 14, 15 years ago, and staffing at our office has cut in half. There used to be a time when we used to have 12 officers working on a shift, and it wasn't uncommon. And now we're down to a very, very skinny skeleton crew. And a lot of that has to do with the times, public perception towards law enforcement these days. Nobody wants to be a police officer. There used to be a time when I joined the Highway Patrol, they used to tell us for every seat in the academy, there were 100 applicants. And now we're at a point where we can't even fill the classes because nobody wants to apply.
How big is a class?
When I went through, I think we had 180 officers in one class, but I think now we're down to I think the most recent class only graduated with something like 80 or 90 officers. So again, it's unfortunately a sign of the times. The law enforcement has taken a big hit as far as image in recent years, and it shows. So again, our staffing levels are low, and that's not just the Highway Patrol. That's across the board. Everybody, all law enforcement agencies across the country are feeling it.
Tim, do you also find that there's an issue with? Do you also find that there's an issue with retention and retirements?
Yeah, a lot of the senior officers who who have some time on, but with society the way it is right now, they just don't want to deal with it, so they're cutting bait and leaving. We get guys that who don't go the full distance anymore. They'd rather just not be a part of this, because it's the unfortunate sign of the times. Again, it's people don't want to be police officers nowadays. It used to be something that that little kids used to look up to and aspire to be, but nowadays, and I'm not trying to speak ill of the quality of officer that we get nowadays. But again, if you had back 10, 15 years ago, if you had 100 people applying for one seat, I mean, the quality of candidate that you got back then would be, I would say, a higher caliber candidate than somebody who, is just merely, they're just trying to fill the seats, you know what I mean? So, but again, I'm not saying that we're getting bad candidates. That's not the case. We still have quality officers coming through the academy, but not a lot of people want to be police officers nowadays, unfortunately.
Thank you, Tim. I just wanted a little more insight on that. Doug, I saw your hand up, and then we will, I think, head to public comment. Go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, just one more thing for Tim. The morning crowd is a little worse on the dam road. I think it's people probably running late for work or whatever. And I understand, I know you're the one that's doing this and you're on swing shift, but if you could get get that trailer out there in the mornings, it would be more beneficial too.
Yeah, I've been trying to get in touch with somebody on the day shift side that can get that trailer out there, and also not just a trailer, but getting an officer down there in the morning time as well. I've spoken to a couple of day shift officers. They've gone down there, but they haven't been able to spend as much time as I have, obviously, down there. But I'll definitely push that up the chain. Probably get some day shift attention down that way. I do want to put in just really quick. I did get a response from my supervisor here about requests for statistics. When there is a way for the general public to obtain the statistics, but it's a little you have to jump through a few hoops. It's a formal discovery request that has to be done at our office. Only because there's a lot of sensitive information included in some of those reports. So if all you're looking for are numbers as far as traffic collisions or fatalities or things of that nature, I'm probably your best source. So that way I can just look in the system myself and I can report back at these monthly meetings if there's a specific collision that you have a question about.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Officer Leviste. And if there are no,
Officer Linway, thank you.
and Officer Lindway, if there are no further questions for the California Highway Patrol, we can go on to the public comment. So anybody can talk about items of concern to them that aren't on the agenda. We only ask that you keep the comments to 2 minutes or less. So thank you. Anybody who has a public comment, please feel free. You can raise your hand so we can identify you.
Ramon, you unmute yourself, please.
Okay, I'm new to Zoom. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm new to Zoom. Mickey Norris introduced me to you, and I appreciate it. I volunteered last Sunday to clean up El Sobrante downtown, and I'm really stoked about continuing to clean up graffiti and trash. So I want to continue. I want to remove graffiti from wherever there is, but I need to know the details and stuff. So I just let you know that I now have, I think, a calling to take care of El Sobrante. So Mickey is really key to getting me all hyped up. This afternoon, I got a call from a friend that the homeless under the bridge of Appian Way and Dam Road are being evicted, and by Monday morning at 8 they have to be gone, or else they will be removed out of there. So I'm not judging. I just want to help them remove their stuff, help the county clean up. And so that's all. That's my 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramon, for what you're doing for the town. Really, it's very nice of you. And thank you, Mickey, for getting people enthused about the cleanup effort.
And I want to hop in real quick. Ramon mentioned the homeless encampment under the Appian Way Bridge. The residents in that neighborhood have been as vocal as many of you have about issues that are near and dear to you. It's taken some coordination on the county's part to get to a point where they officially noticed the encampment. Today, I think, was the second notification, and then they do plan to clean the encampment on Monday. The county's homeless outreach, the core team will be there. They have already been there offering services, but they will be there on Monday as well as the county begins to clean up that space. I've been down there on a number of occasions. There's quite a bit to be cleaned up. So the folks have had more notice, I think, than what occurs in other instances. They've had about 2 weeks notice. So we're hopeful that people will gather what they want to retain, what they want to keep, their belongings. And I'm not exactly sure how it works. We haven't had many encampments broken up that I've participated in. So this will be a bit of a learning process for me, but that's more about what Ramon has talked about. The county has gone through all of the legal requirements and has given probably an additional week to 10 days notice for the persons that are staying down there. Anyone else with public comment? Okay. Yes, Mickey?
So I went to Braver Angels had a workshop on Saturday about the homeless encampments, and there was a lot of concern about the potential for wildfires and things like that. And but I wanted to know if they're going to evict these people from that area, where are they going to go next? I mean, is it something that the county's helping them to find another location or giving them vouchers for hotels or
For those that want it, there are options. What we've encountered with the encampment, particularly over the years behind the library, is, and I've been told this to my face, I'm not going anywhere. I don't want to go. I'm not familiar with all of the persons that are there now, but over the years, as I've been out to that location with the core team, it is very common for the majority of persons to reject any assistance. So you try to give them notice as much as possible. The core team lets them know what is available, but we can't force anyone into our care. So I think they encounter quite a bit of that. The encampment has been there a long time, if you will. This stint, this group has been there, at least that I'm aware of, since at least a year ago. So hopefully folks will be open to accepting services from the county, but where they go ultimately depends on them and where they choose to go. But the offer of space has always been made as far as the core team keeps our office aware.
So James, I just wanted to quickly
And then to Harry.
and I think it was maybe one of the representatives of the sheriff's office, or I don't know if it was Supervisor Joya, brought up that it's not really a good idea for citizens to go into the homeless encampments and work with the homeless directly, that, you know, there are people who are professionals who are better equipped to do that safely.
That is correct. And that's mainly for everyone's safety. There are a number of reasons. I hesitate to give all the ones that immediately come to mind, but anyone that may have substance abuse or mental health challenges, we don't want individuals who aren't prepared to deal with that type of interaction to go down there and potentially endanger themselves or endanger someone else. But I know that people have gone down to the encampment there and given people food. There were a number of calls about 2 months ago saying the county should butt out and leave all the people and their belongings there. There were quite a few calls of that variety. So
yeah,
it's tough. It's a very challenging situation. And Harry?
I had a question about form. I wanted to make an announcement and not public comment. So is the announcement section of the agenda for public announcements or board announcements?
We've never clearly defined that, but I think you're good to go right now.
Okay. I'm a director on the West County Wastewater District Board of Directors, and we are discussing a rate change, an increase. And on the 16th of June, we are having a public hearing regarding the rates. Every homeowner should have received a letter from our district if we service your sewage. And but there is a copy of the notice and the letter on our website. And I guess I don't have the right way to do this. I'll type the website into the comments, but it's www.wcwd.org/rates-fees. Again, it's 6/16 at 6:30. as many people as can should show up and let us, let the board know your opinions or any ideas that you have. This is the time for the public to comment on a rate change. Thank you.
Thank you, Harry, for the heads up on that. Are there any questions for Harry or other public comment?
Doug?
Doug?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I live about 300 yard or 100 yards from that encampment you're talking about. And it is very challenging living that close to a homeless encampment. And I know they have other options. And so all the negative comments you got, I'm giving you a positive one. I've removed hypodermic needles from in front of my yard and had other numerous problems from the encampment being that close to me. So what you're doing, I think, is correct. Not to mention, I'm very aware of the damage in the creek that's going on. And they have literally every 2 weeks lately hauled dump truck loads of garbage up out of there, and it's still trashed. So it does need to be cleaned up. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any further public comments? I guess we can
Information items.
move on to information items by MAC members. In that case, James, are there any announcements?
None that I have. I think everyone is aware. I sent out the schedule for the surfacing. So Emily, sorry, I know traffic has been diverted to Pebble a little bit as they've been going down La Paloma in the roads. So everyone, I'm asking for your patience and that of folks that you encounter. It is going to be a long couple of weeks with the county out doing the surface treatments. Everything probably won't be really good until we get some rain later this year to just kind of wash all that excess to the side. But the crews that are out there are working quickly and diligently. So just a little patience with folks doing the surface treatment. I've seen some of it already. It looks really good. I made the fireworks announcements. Nope, I can't think of anything else.
It looks like Nikki.
Yeah, I just wanted to announce that we're going to have our next illegal dumping littering subcommittee meeting on June 23rd. Wow, that's interesting. Okay. June 23rd.
Somebody sharing their screen?
Yeah, I don't know who's that. Anyway, if anybody has any suggestions for agenda items or speakers, we're open to that. Maybe somebody from Republic Services would be good to hear from if we could, or maybe Harry, I don't know, if you have information on the different services that Republic can provide us, or information about lowering the, how much stuff is illegally dumped, or what their procedures are, or whatever or the services that they offer to us. That might be helpful. I also wanted to thank Ramon for getting involved, and maybe we should put you on the agenda for your ideas about graffiti cleanup and what you'd like to do. We really need an outreach with that subcommittee to a greater outreach, and I'd like to get greater buy-in, and maybe somebody from the Chamber of Commerce. I'm just open to ideas. With the Chamber of Commerce, I would like to get more buy-in from the local businesses on keeping their areas clean. We just did a cleanup on Sunday with the Next Door group and the Citizens for Greener El Sobrante. We teamed up, and hit up the downtown area. My husband and I cleaned up from San Pablo Dam Road to the freeway on El Portal as well. And there's still so much more to get to clean up there. But I mean, it's an ongoing issue. So
Right.
anybody, if you have any ideas on what we can do or to make a greater impact, I put my email in there. And if you have suggestions for agenda, like I said, for the agenda or speakers, let me know as well.
Mickey, just a thought, you might want to come to one of the Chamber of Commerce meetings. And we have them by Zoom and present some of the ideas.
That's a good idea. Yeah. I'm just thinking that if these businesses, if these apartments, if these, homeowners all just took responsibility for the, 100 feet in every direction from where they, they live or are established, it makes such a big difference in our town.
Yeah.
Aside from having, like I think we do need more public outreach and maybe PSAs and things like that. So
Thank you.
that's it.
Mickey, maybe they could get a special sign from the town if they were willing to put in their windows. If they took responsibility for the small area around their place.
That's a good idea.
At least they can advertise it.
Yeah, great idea. Come to our meeting on June 23rd and
They will if I'm in
offer
town.
more ideas. I mean, it's just a brainstorming thing. It's going to take a village,
Yeah,
it takes
it always
everybody
does.
here to make a difference here. Yeah. I'll tell you, I get kind of dispirited when I'm cleaning up, and it's like, those people, why are they throwing this here and that there? And it's just like, we just need to raise the consciousness. So.
Have you called the Boy Scouts yet?
No, but yeah, I'd like to get, all these things involved and we could talk about all those things on June 23rd, because I think it's getting late here. And
yes,
it's definitely getting late.
Okay.
So in that case, I think we are done with our meeting. What do you say, James? Does it think it's a good idea? We could adjourn?
Yep.
All right, I just want to thank everybody. We had great attendance and great discussions. I want to thank the police and fire for coming in and presenting to us. And everybody stay safe and see you next month.
Yep. Thank you, Chief Gates, for staying. Thank you, Officer Limway and Leviste. Everyone have a safe evening and we'll see you in July.
Night all.
Great night, everybody.
All right.
Thank you, James, for helping us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks, James.
Bye-bye. Thank you. In the meeting for